Hello, I am Ilona, and I was again looking through all these matches in more details, and I am a little bit now confused. Okay, maybe I'm not so confused. I think I found the answers. For example, when I look at the most ancient people, and yes, I have access only to those who match me, so I cannot check absolutely all of them what they have here. Looking at their closest ancient populations, what do we see? We have a pattern here. It is not always necessarily Curonian and Baltic. And it makes sense that that my matches have this mixture mostly of Scythian and Baltic because they are my matches. And I am Baltic. There are probably loads of ancient samples they have which are not Baltic and Scythian mix. But okay. Yes, of course. Makes sense. But again, of course, this one will be Baltic. That makes sense. But again, what do we know about these people at this time with this kind of haplogroup? Mitochondrial DNA. Those had to be Western hunter gatherers. Or, for example, yes, more recent compared to some others. Yes, also, of course, yes. Yes, not like they don't have samples of other people. Because, of course, closest populations, how they can measure it, only based on the sample DNA they have. They cannot compare to something they don't have. So if they have loads of Scythian ancient DNA samples, and almost nothing else, obviously, for every European, they will appear as closest. That makes sense, but they do have others, as we can see it here. And from what I know already, yes, I was talking about this in many of my videos, but of course, if three people watched, so you most likely didn't saw these previous videos. Um, People around the Baltic Sea, it's not just Latvians, but they do have the highest Western hunter-gatherer component. So all these Western hunter-gatherer peoples, their DNA will be the closest people who will be related to them later, after thousands of years, even, yes, will be some kind of people living at the time around the Baltic Sea and even living around the Baltic Sea now. Because, yes, this person appears as some kind of my match only because of this Western hunter gatherer connection. But okay, let's watch everything. Let's see. Let's check. Yes, for example, this person again. Yes, completely different populations here. So yeah, Ireland. And the only explanation here is it's not like Baltic people lived in Ireland at the time. Obviously, no. It was other way around. So people from Ireland, from British Isles, from Western Europe, so these hunter-gatherers, yes, they moved to the Baltic area. If we apply the same logic, that means that if people around Baltic Sea area have high Western hunter-gatherer DNA, then also same with Scythians. They also have high Western hunter-gatherer DNA, and that is interesting because I don't know, somehow I missed that. I don't hear people talking about Scythians as being descendants of Western hunter gatherers. What I hear, yes, they were living somewhere in these steppes, running around there, and that's basically it. And if you look at the map, yeah, it kind of now makes sense that when people from Anatolia, like these farmers, started to move from southern Europe, they pushed out the Western hunter gatherers. So yeah, to northeast, and and this is north and east. So they had to move. They settled not just here, but also here. Clearly, of course, it's not like the Scythians had 100% just Western hunter-gatherer DNA. A few thousand years later, when they moved out, obviously they had some other admixtures from here, from everywhere. But that also, it little bit also changes how I personally look at Indo-European and Proto-Indo-European languages, because the Scythians are known to being descendants of these Yamnaya people. So those were already also. Does it mean that Western hunter-gatherer peoples, or not all of them, but some of them, were actually ancestors of Proto-Indo-Europeans? Would it be so crazy to think that? I think I have to make video for another channel where I talk more about languages. This area actually is not huge, if you think about it. It's not huge, it's small. People were walking back and forth in thousands of years, who knows how many times. People were quite mobile, especially, yes, hunter gatherers. And sometimes, even not being mobile, you over generations, you can move. Each generation can move one house, like one village, village by village, and after 1,000 years, this will be completely in different area. And here, all these people who lived in this area did had some kind of connections here and there at some points. Or no, no. Yes, we could think that, yes, there is another theory in the European coming from here, but I think it didn't appear here also from nowhere, and not like from for people from around this area. This area is completely unreachable. So some kind of interactions happened between here and maybe between here and I don't know. Actually, I had a little bit time to think about it more, and now I think here I may be a little bit wrong. I don't know why I sometimes, yes, it is, many people do that. The DNA doesn't show language. It's not always language, of course, very often. It is connected to language, but definitely not always. And I don't know why I made this assumption that Western hunter gatherers who moved to the Eastern Europe, they continued to speak their languages. There is also a possibility that they were newcomers. And those people who lived at that time already there, those hunter-gatherers, were Eastern European hunter-gatherers. It is possible that either their languages mixed or they learned the native languages. And that even makes more sense, actually. Yeah, I have actually, it's maybe not a very mainstream opinion now, I made it, that there is this possibility why Baltic languages are so conservative. It could be that actually this is just a very early branch of these pre-Proto-Indo-European peoples, and the language was just similar, like another branch of a language. But it was not a split off the Yamnaya people's language. It was just similar before even they arrived.